Mr. Unlimited.
Hey, what's up, gang? It's Adam and Lowry, and we are here for budget. Wait, this is the wrong thing. Get out of here. We're here for budget upgrade. I moved it along. It's a little foreshadowing of what's coming here. So, we went over the what did we do last week? Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
For these?
Let me work it.
There we go. Yeah, do I even have the button ready? No, I don't. I just have Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
Only button you need
this
for
week,
this one.
Or this.
She can't even read.
That's a good point. We're doing $20 budget upgrades for these decks. How does this work, Larry? We're going through all these precons here. So why don't you explain?
Adam took the graveyard one and the Eldrazi again. I did the tricky terrain and the energy deck. And basically what we're doing is we used to make the cuts for you. We're not doing that anymore, at least this time. There's a lot of new cards in here, and generally we try and cut, reprints instead of new cards.
Yeah.
And here it'd just be like all of the reprints. So you got to make the choices here. But basically we're taking about 10 to 15 cards and saying this is what we would also put in the deck. And we are trying to come in under $20. I succeeded. Did you?
I did. I got
There we go.
I did.
And then basically, so it's under $20. These are quick, easy, simple upgrades to make the deck better. And then after that, each deck is going to get an unlimited amount of budget.
Yeah,
and just cards that'll work with the deck, but the price doesn't matter. A little bit like whose line is it anyway?
That's a good point. And I think this time we'll break down those a little bit more. Normally we're just like, boom, boom, boom. Here's things, whatever. These are expensive. I think we're kind of fine tuning this a little bit more too. So we'll get to that when we get there. So first things first, we're gonna start, like Lowry mentioned, the Graveyard Overdrive deck. So just starting off with this one, the thing I noticed the most when working with this deck is the commander. Let's get to the commander really quick. I just want to show that while I'm talking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So the commander itself, as you can see here, it's whenever Loogie 4, like we call it, permanent card is put in the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, you put it onto the battlefield. And then your creatures, when they deal damage, one or more creatures, so you can hit multiple players, and you get one Tarmogoyf token for each one of those. The big thing is, in my mind, well, there isn't a lot of Loogie 4s, is what we call them. But you can use changelings in this. So you could add a lot more changelings. They do have a couple changelings that are in the deck, but I think you could use a lot more.
Are there any good changelings out there?
I have a couple on the list. We'll get to that.
Struggling?
A little bit. You're dealing with the 3 colors there, so you can't use every changeling that's out there.
For sure.
But the thing is there isn't a lot of filling your graveyard stuff up. So what I wanted to do was draw cards, fill graveyard stuff. So I added a bit more into that. And then when we get into the Mr. Unlimited part, there's even more of that synergy in there.
Okay.
Getting started with, let's see, I think that's it. And then there isn't a lot of Tarmogoyfs. I already mentioned that. Changelings can help you with that. And they also, I'll give this away. They don't have Tarmogoyf in there.
I was going to say, did they reprint Tarmogoyf?
No, they didn't.
Because I would have been, even though it was, like, the status of it has fallen greatly.
Way down, yeah.
But it would still almost shock me to see Tarmogoyf reprinted in a Precon.
In a Precon?
Yeah.
That would show you the fall from grace is like crazy if it was in a Precon. But it is in the Mr. Unlimited section. I didn't add it in the regular section. I would add it in this deck because you're playing a Tarmogoyf deck. Like, this is the time you get to play Tarmogoyf. You don't ever get to play Tarmogoyf in Commander. it's typically a modern type thing. So this is a nice place.
Legacy.
To play. Or a
even
legacy
for
too.
a bit.
Okay, let's move on with this. Okay, so we have our commander here.
That is
So-
cool.
Yeah. So, first two cards I'll talk about here. Oh, I have 14 cards that I added in, and it came in just under 20. So
Nice.
I am passing this. Big score. I love this card. I would also suggest I didn't put it on here. It was originally, but I don't want to do repeats of stuff. But you could add in unexpected windfall cards like that as well. These unexpected windfall is the exact same card as big score, but they're just different names pretty much. So you're, as an addition to cast this card, you discard a card, then you draw two cards, and you get 2 treasures. So you could discard your Tarmogoyf, or your not Tarmogoyf, your whatever, any Goyf type,
Whatever Goyf.
and then it's going to come directly back into play if your commander's out. So that's the thing, is like getting your stuff filled, and also discarding stuff feeds your Goyfs that are out there. So you want to throw things in the graveyard. Yes, it counts everybody's, but for you to feed it, that helps it move quicker along and get your Goyfs a lot bigger. So that is one I would add in. Also, Bloodline Pretender. It's a changeling, so it's also a Goyf. This one will get bigger as Goyfs come out, because it isn't when it's cast. It's whenever another creature of the chosen type enters the
what I was
battlefield,
checking.
you get a 1/1 counter. So when you're making those tokens from your creatures hitting, one or more, you make a Tarmogoyf. This is also getting bigger, so it's affected by the Goyfs that
Up
come
to
out.
3+3 per turn.
Yeah, so
That's not bad.
this is and it's a colorless, so this is easy to cast in there. It's another target, so if it gets put into the graveyard, it can come back in. So I like this one in there. Relatively cheap. Everything's pretty cheap in this. Cathartic Reunion. Again, very similar to Big Score. It's a little different because you're discarding 2 cards and drawing 3 cards, and this one's at sorcery speed. I did also say Thrill of Possibility is in this category as well. You could add that in if you wanted to add some more stuff in. Not going to break that.
I mean, yeah, basically, if their red has the looting ability,
Which is perfect for this.
So the draw discard for sure go into that, and there's many cards to choose from that, and those are the 2 that you'd like that aren't in the deck.
Yep. Those and there are some in the deck, but not that many. All right, the next would be Chainer Nightmare Adept. So this is obviously, well, you can see the casting cost. I don't need to go through that because we're not on audio. This is visual, so you guys can see it. I don't need to go through everything.
Look with your eyes, people.
But the key with this one is, at any point, well, I think it's at sorcery speed. Oh, you can only do it at once a turn, but you can discard a card. So if you have a Goyf in your hand, you discard it. It comes right back into play. You may cast a creature card from your graveyard this turn, activate this ability. So if there's anything else that died later or whatever, like a Goyf maybe actually died, at that point you can cast it. So there's a little bit of recursion built in on it. And then whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gains haste until end of turn. So those Goyfs that you're throwing into the graveyard are technically coming from the graveyard. They're not coming from your hand, so they will get haste, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm just
Yeah, they would get haste. That's pretty cool.
So it's made
Now, I do want to point out, like, I think maybe a lot of people know this, but timing restrictions on creatures would still apply on that first part of, like, discarding a card and casting a creature. So you can't, like, cast a non-flash creature on another player's turn.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So just saying that timing restrictions still apply. But if you get something in there like Winding Canyons, I don't know if you put that in there, but that could make it so that you could cast them
But at the
at
same
flash speed.
At the same point, though, if you had multiple Goyfs in your hand, you can discard it. If your commander's out, it's coming right back into play. So that's almost a way to flash it into play for free.
Yeah.
Discard it. Even if you don't want to cast anything, you just discard, and it says you may cast a creature that card from that turn.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
pretty
don't
cool.
have to cast a creature at that point. So that one I think is pretty sweet to add in there. The next two is Conspiracy. So let's just turn any of the other creatures that you have that are in play and out of play into Goyfs. So you choose the creature type. Now you're hitting stuff. Now you're hitting, the lack of Goyfs that are in the deck. Everything is a Goyf. So now when you discard it, they're all coming back. Just fun stuff. Garruk's Uprising. We'll see this one. This one's actually in one of the commander decks. I was going to say we'll see this later. We won't because I saw it and it was in the deck. And I was like, why isn't it in this deck? Because Goyfs are going to be typically...
Is this in the Eldrazi deck?
Yeah, it's in the Eldrazi deck.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. But, I mean, your Goyfs, typically they're probably going to be a power 4. What's the most they can get up to now? 7? What do we
6 or 7. Yeah.
Because we have battles now.
Well,
It's
I mean,
never gonna be-
Tarmogoyf in general, yeah, but Goyfs have different
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
things there as well. So,
Yeah. Tarmogoyf will. You probably easily get to this power 4.
like
So
Mortivore and Lugifor,
yeah,
they can get huge. It just depends on how many creatures are in the graveyard.
yeah. So Garruk's Uprising is a great way to get some drawback, and then they gain trample, and then whenever a creature power 4 or greater in his battlefield, so you're drawing, and at least it replaces itself. So.
And giving them trample's nice.
Yeah.
For sure.
Finally have a use for Jaxus because I haven't put this in a deck, but I think this is going to be perfect in here because you're discarding stuff. So Jaxus, what you're doing, again, it's similar to what we were doing up here with Chainer, except you have the tap ability, so you're only able to do this once. But discard a card, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste. And then you're going to sacrifice it at the end of turn, or the beginning of your end step. You get to draw off of that. So you're probably making another Goyf. You're probably there's a lot of things. You're discarding a Goyf, getting it to come back into play. You can only do this at sorcery speed, so it is only going to be on your turn, unlike the other one you can do on other people's turns. But still, this is giving you a little bit of card advantage, getting you multiple creatures out. It gains haste, so again, you want to hit people because then you get more Tarmogoyfs. And this is a great way to cheat some of your Goyfs into play. So I think this one will work in there perfect. Magus of the Wheel effect. Let's get everybody to throw stuff in the graveyard. Now your Goyfs are at max capacity, probably besides battles, because battles aren't going to ever. I don't think battles are very often, unless they make good battles in the future.
There's a handful of battles that are worth playing, but specific decks and stuff like that.
So Magus of the Wheel, we're going to have a couple wheel effects in here, and then actually in the Mr. Unlimited part, there'll be some more. Ohran Frostfang. So you're attacking. That's what the deck is wanting to do. You're wanting to hit with as many people as you can with this part, where whenever one or more creatures you control deal damage, you get a Goyf. Well, let's get a Goyf and also draw with your Goyfs, and give all your Goyfs Death Touch. Anything that's attacking, not Goyfs, just anything that's attacking gains the Death Touch. Ohran Frostfang is a great card to have to get your draw if you're an attacking style deck. And this deck is very creature heavy. So that's pretty much all you're doing in this.
Yeah.
If you're in green and you're creature heavy, which you most likely are with green, this should a lot of times be in there. Typically when I'm building a deck
as a budget card, for sure.
Yeah. It wasn't budget.
You got the
for a while
squirrel.
there.
You got the it wasn't, but
Chatter.
The squirrel is 4 mana, but that's a $10-12 card at this point.
That's a good point there. I didn't even put that one as my
you got the idea out there, I think.
Next is Realm Walker. We got another shapeshifter, a good one. You were asking about the changeling stuff. This is a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because they printed it a couple times, it's kept the price down. I think if they had not printed as much, the sucker would be over $10. But right now it's like $4 or something like that. Choose a creature type. You may look at the top of your library anytime that you can cast those. So it's also a Goyf, and also able to cast more of your stuff off the top. It's just a great card when you're playing a tribal or kindred style deck. So Realm Walker, perfect in there. One of our newer cards, Smuggler's Surprise. So this has a couple things to it. One, you can mill yourself. So you can mill to get your Goyfs in the graveyard and bring them back. Two,
that's cool.
You can make it so you can, if you have 2 creatures in your hand, you want to be able to just bring them in the battlefield. That is another way you can do it for 6. This is instant, which is nice. And also, or has protection. Creatures you control with power 4 or greater gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This hits so many things. You have lots of creatures in this deck. Milling helps you in this deck. Protecting your stuff. This is just a fantastic card. Get this while it's cheap, because I think this card potentially could go up in the future. The All-Star. And I need to make sure I'm working this.
Sweet in this.
That I'm working this out right. But Sir Conrad, this is kind of interesting because the Goyf is going to the graveyard, so everybody loses a life. It says whenever a creature dies or a creature card is put in the graveyard from anywhere other than battlefield, everybody takes 1 damage. But then it's also leaving the graveyard, so they also take 1 damage. So every Goyf that you discard to the graveyard, everybody takes 2 damage, or all your opponents take 2 damage. That's
And it has that mill effect attached to it as well,
that's a good point,
which is
too.
going to feed into the goyfs, which is going to allow them to come into play and double trigger everything. Yeah, that seems like a sweet card in here for sure.
Sir Conrad. I put this in so many decks. It synergizes with so many decks. It's really good. All right, and then we get into, I think, my last 2 cards. Yep. So just a shapeshifter. It's a cheap one. It's 3. I just wanted to add some more goyf stuff. We need to get a little bit more in the deck. So I added that in there, and that one just gets. If you haven't played against it, the only downfall against the Mauler is it doesn't have trample. Everything else, though, that 1/1 counter, it ends up getting huge. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the deck that gives trample, like we talked about the uprising above. But this,
I've seen Managorger Hydra a lot more. Same card, just with trample, and that makes it's a great card. And this is just a big creature, but if you have enough creatures like Lurgoyfs that you want to give mass trample to anyway, this fits right in there. So it's perfect.
And then lastly, Wheel of Misfortune. We're doing a similar thing to Magus of the Wheel. So it's a wheel effect. That's cheap. We're not talking about, which we'll get into in a second, Wheel of Fortune. Right. This is just another wheel effect that you can get everybody put cards in their, or most everybody but one put cards in their graveyard. You put cards in your graveyard so you can get your goyfs out for free, and they can all come in big and all that fun stuff. So, all right, so that is the budget part. Now we get into
Mr. Unlimited.
What was your budget? What did it come up into?
14 cards came out to $19.41.
Just got right in there.
Yeah.
Nice job.
It's nice when we don't have to cut cards, because then I was just like, this one fits, this one fits, I can get all the way up to 20 pretty much, and then, that's it. All right. So Mr. Unlimited, let's just start off with Altar of Dementia. You have your creatures, your goyfs, you're sacrificing them. You can mill people out. You're milling, then your goyfs get bigger. I think it's a great way to... I don't know if you'll mill people out, but it's a good way to feed your goyfs. So if maybe they're not quite big enough
Well,
yet,
I mean, if you mill yourself, you can pop out a few
point
goyfs.
too. Yeah, that's a good
that
point.
seems good for sure.
Black Market Connection.
It's really good.
You're making changelings. Let me scroll down so you can see it. Shapeshifter. So you're making more goyfs. You're drawing a card. Black Market Connection should be in any black deck, but this fits in here perfectly, especially if you're playing tribal or kindred stuff. So this is just a great card. Then we get Breach of the Multiverse. It's a little spendy. It's 7, but it's each player mills 10 cards. That includes you. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in their graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. They become Phyrexian in addition to that part doesn't matter. But milling 10, 20, 30, 40 cards, 10 of yours, you're probably getting a couple goyfs mixed in there. You're stealing a couple other cards from other people. And whatever goyfs you didn't, like non-goyfs that went in, you get to also put that into play. And potentially planeswalkers, but most likely you're hitting creatures with that one.
Yeah.
Conduit of Worlds. I also have Crucible Worlds in here, so we'll skip that when we get to that. But this is a Crucible of Worlds effect. I like this one because it's kind of has that recursion with it. Choose a target non-land permanent card in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell, you can cast it. So maybe late game stuff if you've run through your hand, which you shouldn't. But this is a way to get some of the stuff that maybe goes to your graveyard that you want to bring back. And it's like a $10 card or something like $10.
I think it's 4 to 6.
Yeah, maybe
but
right.
One thing about Conduit or this style of deck though, like when you're saying it shouldn't run out, it can, because when you are looting, you're not really gaining card advantage. You're really just
That's a good point.
getting card selection, and then the discard's working with your goyfs. But
they're not giving
and
you
so
more
if you're not,
cards.
and that's why the wheel effects are so important, because you get down, and then you wheel and bring yourself back up to 7. But if you don't run into that wheel, then you're running low. And so that is where I think Conduit of Worlds would be a perfect add into this kind of deck, especially with the mill and the discard, and just opens up your hand so much.
Yeah, for sure. Dark Deal. It's another wheel effect, but each player discards all their cards in their hand, then draw that many cards, so -1. So you're kind of hitting everybody else. Doubling Season, you're making tokens. That's why Doubling Season. You could do all the other ones, Parallel Lives, Primal Vigor, because those are focused on tokens, and that's what you're making, so you get more of those tokens. You're not dealing with the 1/1 counters, or there isn't 1/1 counters typically with this one. But Doubling Season's just good when you're doing that. Entomb, search your library, so you can set up, hey, search your library for a Goyf. Throw it at, oh, nope, it goes right back into play.
Cool.
So you go find that. Here's a spot where Greater Good, I don't play Greater Good. It's very, very much a combo-ish card, and it just never fits in decks that I want to deal with. But this is kind of perfect in a way because you sacrifice something, you draw cards. It's gonna be probably bigger than the 3 cards that you're gonna discard. But even still, whatever you draw, you could draw. You pick it. And you're like, okay, now I'm gonna discard this Goyf, and this Goyf. Oh wait, they come back into play. So you really don't have any loss. And I guess it does turn into a combo. Because then you can sacrifice that.
It does
then,
kind of turn it, but I think your the
Whoopsie.
altar does as well. Like it feels like mill 8, get 2 Goyfs. Mill 1 of them, get a couple Goyfs.
Whoops.
Greater Good, you get to choose.
But this is
no,
Mr.
I think that's
Unlimited.
sweet because like the combo is getting Goyfs into play.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I mean, it might win you the game, but I think that'll be interesting to watch and see how that goes. And like, if you just miss one, then you're like, okay, I got 2 Goyfs left. Do I sacrifice this to draw some cards and discard, or mill myself to see if I'll get more?
Right. Yeah. So
I mean, the likely aspect of those 2 cards is probably like sacking at the end right before your turn to see how your army can grow and see if that's
to see if you can go in for the win at that point. Yeah. That's a good point there too. Yeah. I guess the other part is like the one thing that makes it fair is Goyf isn't a very big tribe or
Right.
kindred thing at this point. So it's
we're talking about Tarmogoyfs, like making a bunch of Tarmogoyfs, a bunch of 6/7s.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So
that's cool.
Okay, Mesmeric Orb. This is just filling everybody's graveyard. Whenever a permanent becomes untapped, that player mills a card. You'll get people hating you, but it's a good card when graveyards matter. Palantir of Orthanc works perfect in this for yourself because you're scrying to each turn. This is going up. So then target opponent may have you draw a card. If that player doesn't, you mill X, where X is the number of influence counters. So each turn you're putting an influence counter on it. And then they can either lose life equal to the, or wait, what is it? Where X is the number of, so you mill yourself. So you're milling your Goyfs into the graveyard. They're going to be coming back, but then you're also doing damage. They can lose life equal to the total mana value of all those cards. So you want them to not have you draw a card in this situation.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Random aside, and it's only hitting me because they're right next to each other. Would a proxy of Saruman holding both of those and then like a split, like so it's like panoramic of him holding
the Mesmeric
a
Orb,
Mesmeric Orb and a Palantir of Orthanc?
That's pretty good. Should I write it down? That's Saruman. I'm gonna probably write it down when you go, so I am not. Yeah. Okay, and then the last couple cards. Yep, last 3. So Rise of the Dark Realms. You're filling graveyards. You're wheeling. Let's bring everything back, including yourself. Tarmogoyf. We mentioned that. Gotta have Tarmogoyf in this deck. And then obviously Wheel of Fortune. We have a bunch of wheel effects. There's a bunch of stuff to do. There. So I think this would really upgrade this. And again, we keep doing these, and I'm like, I want to do this now.
That would be sweet.
Now I want to build this. So yeah, but if there's anything that I missed or think that you guys would want to add, I'd love to hear that in the comments. So please put that below. And if you're watching right now, please give us a like on this video. That just helps us out more than you know. Okay, so let's move on to the next deck, which is going to be yours. And what do we have going on here, Lowry?
That's a good question. Tricky Terrain. It's I'm gonna admit I don't like a lot of the creature choices in it. Maybe I'm not really getting it, but maybe they're doing their thing. But basically, this is. Can we go to the commander?
Yep.
And
Okay.
then I'll
Yep.
read
Sorry.
that real quick.
So
So basically, it's a Simic and 2 colorless for a 1/5 shapeshifter noble, not a changeling. But when it ETBs, you put an everything counter on each of one target land and or an up to 1 creature. And one thing to point out there is that it doesn't have to be your own. Now there isn't much that really there isn't much hate out there for opponents' creatures in green blue, so more than likely you're going to be doing your own stuff anyway. And so basically what an everything counter is whenever it's a land, they become
basically a changeling, like we were just talking about the other one. Changeling of land and changeling of
different
creatures.
types. And that's not because there's basic types, and so it can tap for any color of mana, but also there are like other types like gates, caves, Urza's lands, what else is there? Deserts,
locusts.
So there's a bunch there that they turn into those as well. So it's just kind of like everything that would be a land, this is, and then you're basically turning your creatures into changelings, even though they don't gain that changeling type. So like, if that matters, it matters.
Okay.
And so basically what this deck is there is a lot of things that you can do, and there's a lot of things in this precon that you can do. And this one, it's messy. I'd say it's messy. It looks like it's potentially fun. One thing when I was looking around at ideas is I think there's a lot of people that are putting like well-known tribes at this. And so like elves, merfolk, like the green blue tribes that you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I would suggest avoiding that. There's enough support in those decks. There's enough commanders to choose from.
Go with a different thing is what you're saying.
This is more of like a Morophon kind of card in my opinion.
Okay.
It is here to help support creature types that don't have everything at their disposal. So
like Tarmogoyfs.
Like Tarmogoyfs. There's even less in two colors than three. But like what I was thinking more of was like snakes, green blue fairies. There was wizards. Wizards and snake was what I was kind of leaning towards. And there might be spirits there, but like something like that, if that makes sense. Like elves and merfolk don't need this.
Right. They already have their commanders. They have plenty of commanders to choose from, many different ones. Yeah, I agree.
And so, and again,
think outside the box.
I probably am not cleaning up anything, but I'm not going to suggest any snakes or wizards here. But if that's what you choose to do, that's, you can look harder into that. I more try to find cards that just help in almost every deck.
Okay.
Whatever tribe or whatever support you're looking for, these are cards that should help in an overall thought.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So yeah, I chose 15 cards, and the budget is, I came in at $16.42.
Ooh, you're well below budget. Good for you.
Right.
Am I good for you?
And
bud?
so, first one I want to talk about is Alpha Status. This is an aura for 3. Well, you can, okay. Visual 1. But enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other creature in play that shares a creature type with it. When that creature gains changeling, you put it on that. For each creature that's in play, that's your opponent's and yours, it gets +2/+2.
Oh.
So
yeah. So it's every creature type. So it's how many creatures are in play.
Right. It's going to match up with every creature. It's going to be huge.
Hopefully that thing has trample.
Well, you got choices. It depends on where you go. Snakes have a lot of evasion with it. Wizards have a lot more control. But and then whatever you so choose. Aven Courier, 1 and a blue 1/1 flyer. Sorry, that got into curated there. The speech pattern. But 1/1 flying. Whenever Aven Courier attacks, choose a counter on a permanent you control. Put a counter of that kind on target permanent you control.
So
if it doesn't have a counter.
You're taking the counter, the everything counter you already have on something, and now you're putting another one on another creature you have.
Yep,
dig it.
exactly.
Make it go faster. I like it. I like that.
And that's the other thing too. So you're getting 2 counters, and so we'll probably, you want to kind of double trigger or blink and stuff like that. Next one, Boulder's Gate. Cast for colorless or 2 on a tap, add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of gates you control. So those everything counters on the lands are gates. And so the more you have, and you can go into the gate realm, there's not going to be a ton in the 2-color deck, but they have really expanded.
But the other part is, even if you didn't, like, every turn this adds more and more and more. I mean, I think you would try to go with more gates on this, but you're always good. It's going to be the first turn's going to be 1 or 2. The next is going to be 3, then 4. Each turn it's going to get bigger and bigger. So yeah, I dig that.
Right. And
you could
you
even throw in the win con of the what's the gate that wins the game?
Oh, Maze's End.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's actually a gate, but yes, that can easily be in there. Next one that I want to talk about is Call to the Kindred. And that's another aura, but at the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top 5 cards of your library. If you do, you may put a creature card with a shared creature type into play. The rest on the bottom. So you put that on Changeling.
Then you can get any creature.
You can put it directly into play. So it gives you a lot of flexibility there. And we'll talk about 2 that are very similar to that in the unlimited part. Next one, Candlekeep Sage. That's a background enchantment, but whenever your commander creature you own your commander has, when it enters or leaves the battlefield, you get to draw a card. And so I would go into a Blink style package for Uma, the commander, so that so it's more likely to come back into play and trigger the.
Then it gets the counter stuff. Okay, yep.
Yeah,
because otherwise it's on attack too, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, it is attack.
And it enters or attacks. Cool. Okay, yeah.
I missed that, but still, yeah. Blink is a great way to trigger it along with protecting it when it comes to instant speed stuff. Next one, Collective Restraint. This might be the most expensive suggestion, but it's an enchantment. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays. It's going to be 5 because you have 5 basic land types with the everything counter on your land. Yeah. So instantly happens. You're going
souped up propaganda at that point. Yeah, that's nice. All right.
Concerted Defense. This is an instant counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1 plus an additional 1 for each creature in your party, which are cleric, rogue, warrior, wizard. So that's 4.
So it's going to be 5.
It's going to be 5 for 1 blue mana.
That's pretty
That's not
good.
a bad one. So again, you get to look at party. There's not a lot in green blue, but hopefully they build upon it in the future. There's next one.
Oh,
what's it?
I thought you were saying there's not a lot of counters in blue, but hopefully they build it. I was like,
there's not a lot to party when it because they're multiple colors, and so really it shunts it down to the 2 or they're not that good beyond this one really. Yeah. But next one, Cryptic Gateway Artifact. If you do choose a bigger kind of like Kindred tribe, that's where Cryptic Gateway does better. It's awesome in Eldrazi decks. Other than you're missing the cast triggers. But tap 2 untapped creatures you control. You may put a creature with the same creature type from your hand into play. You can do that in instant speed. You're a tribal deck. This will likely work, especially when you're changelings. So
dig it. Ooh, Draco.
Yeah, Displace. We're going to go there first.
I know.
This is an instant that is just part of the Blink package. There are plenty of cards that you can choose from, probably like 5 or 6. But exile up to 2 target creatures you control, then return them to the battlefield under your control. So that's a great thing to do. You like in response to targeted removal. Also, it's going to trigger
your commander's ability.
Yeah. So that's kind of what you're going for here. Cool card. Draco. Not going to say that I put it in the deck, but I want to talk about Domain. Domain lowers for this. They care about how like the land types that you have. And so the everything counter automatically gives you full domain right away.
So then
Draco's going to cost 6 mana for a 9/9 flyer,
and then
the upkeep doesn't. Yeah. There's also Scion of Draco, which very similar card. It'll be cheaper, and that gives like hexproof and trample for the green blue. So next one, Faces of the Past. This is an enchantment. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, tap or untap all creatures that share a creature type with it. So if you have a changeling, it will tap or untap anything, whatever, all the creatures. So if somebody
do it to you too, but at the same point, if yours dies, then everybody's taps.
Yeah, and then you're opening up everybody else, and then if one of your creatures die, you can untap everything. I don't know what the heck you're doing, but could be fun.
Yeah.
Um,
That is,
and it doesn't
I like
have
that.
to be your graveyard either.
Mhm.
So if you somehow
Into a
kill
graveyard.
somebody else's creature, you're going to be able to untap your changelings.
Yeah, that's the interest. That's the nice thing is like you get to choose tap or untap. So you
Yep.
don't want to leave yourself open. Like you're not gonna be like, oh, I tapped down everything. Oh shit, I can just get hit. Like you're just gonna always choose on tap if something dies. So yeah, I dig that. There's no downside for you. But you can set it
next-
up. You could set it up like you're saying. Kill one of your creatures off somehow. Oh no, because then all yours attack. Oh wait.
No,
You
it just
declare-
taps everybody down before the attack.
Yeah, I was gonna say you declare attacks, so all your stuff is attacking, and then you somehow are able to sacrifice
Oh.
at instant speed.
Before
Everything's
blocks.
tapped. Yep, and then they can't block it. And then if you're able to
I like it.
sacrifice something else later, then you untap later. Yeah, I don't even know about that card, so I like this card. That's a good one. Curated
Yeah.
MTG.
It likely would be if I made the deck, but next one is multi-class Baldric, but this is another party. This is like the only other party card. Essentially, it's 1/2 to equip. As long as you have a full party, prevent all damage that would be dealt to equipped creature, and then creature has life link. If you have death touch,
lifelink,
haste,
Death touch. Yeah.
flying.
Yeah, so it has a bunch. For
For 1 and 2, that's a lot going on.
This can get got with Urza Saga. I like that.
Terrible card.
Get
terrible
the
person.
fuck out.
Yeah. Panharmonicon's just in there to double trigger Oma and just
Hey,
have
what's
it
up, Bill?
happen more often.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I believe, well, 15 should be okay. 2 more. Spreading LG is the only real like hate card that I found, but essentially, Spreading LG is 1 green aura. Put it on a swamp only, and whenever enchanted land becomes tapped, destroy that land and return Spreading LG back to your hand.
So you're putting the counter on their stuff. That's what you mentioned at the beginning, and
Yes.
then you're basically taking out their land. You asshole.
Either they don't tap it or they wait until like they have to use it, and then you get it back, and then you just turn another one of theirs into a swamp if they don't already have swamps. So it's a random hate card, but also something that you can use. And you can also use Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth in this deck if you so choose, because it's a land, does not have a color symbol to it, so there is no color identity to that card. So you can do that along with this. Last one, and I never thought I'd be able to play this, but this is awesome. But Trenzalore Clock Tower from the Doctor Who set. Tap to add a blue, put a time counter on it, and then you can pay a blue colorless tap, remove 12 time counters from the clock tower and exile it, shuffle your yard hand into the library, then draw 7 cards. Activate only if you control a Time Lord. Changelings would be a Time Lord. So
Wait, I'm running this through. So and exile it, shuffle your library in hand, and so how
you
are
still
you?
got to get to 12. You
Yeah,
gotta
okay. I was like, is there
tap
a
it 12
fast way?
times
Okay, I was like, is there a
and get
fast
those-
way that you're
those
getting
counters on it.
there? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, but still being able to have
because it is a Time Lord, it is a type of creature. Boom. I gotcha. Because you can't do that unless you're playing Doctor Who stuff or in
or
this deck.
changelings.
There, I get it.
So-
The light bulb just went off. All
And
right.
so this is, like a Time Twister effect is like 6 mana. And this is just eventually with your land.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the total again? 16 something?
15 cards switched in, $16.42 for the budget. And I think you'll even just switching this in, it's going to do some damage there.
All right, next section.
Mr. Unlimited.
Now you have no budget. Ooh, we got 15 cards to talk about here.
Yeah. I'll try and go, well, some of them. Ashaya Soul of the Wild turns all your creatures into land. And I just thought it'd be funny to turn your creature into all creature types and all land types. So, Auton Soldier,
I like this. I
that
like
is a
Auton.
clone effect for your commander. Whenever it attacks, that it has a myriad. So, it makes more copies, even though they don't go
you
away,
still
but you're
get the
triggering a lot.
tokens. Yep, you still get all that. Yeah.
You get the attack trigger on the one, the myriad, and then the ETBs. Conjurer's Closet, just blinking at
Blinking.
end of turn. Descendant's Path, essentially with a changeling, any creature that shows up is going to come into play for free with a Descendant's Path. Essence Flux is just another instant speed blinking.
Leaf Crown.
Leaf Crowned Elder has kinship, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you can look at the top card. It's a Descendant's Path. As long as it's a changeling, everything that shows up at the top comes into play for free.
Masquid Nexus, you're changing it all into changelings.
Yeah, that just makes it easy, right? You don't have to worry about it at all. Surprised you didn't have this in your Goyf deck, though, too.
It's already in there.
Oh, it is? Okay, makes sense. Peer Pressure, sorcery. Choose a creature type. If you control more creatures of that type than any other player, you gain control of all creatures of that type. Does not end at end of turn. So 4 mana, as long as you have more than a creature than you want, you just steal that creature for 4. Or if you have multiple, so if it's going to be really tough to beat the Goyf deck or the Eldrazi deck.
Right.
But if they are like half-assing the tribe, like you could probably do humans, because that just randomly is going to catch a bunch of them. And so I think it's more of like if you can pull it from everybody, but I still think it's a really cool card to be able to just like randomly steal a couple creatures.
No, I dig that, because you're going to have the most of those. There's your Scion of a Draco. Is that what you're talking about?
I did have Scion. Yeah. So Scion of Draco, it 2 less, so it only costs you 2 mana for a 4/4 flyer.
Yep, 4/4.
And then each creature you control has it'll be hexproof if it's blue, and green, or trample if it's green. So Robe of the Archmagi, but basically 1 to equip. If it deals damage, you get to draw that many cards. And changelings are shaman, warlock, and or wizards.
Oh, so it equips easily. I like that.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Serpent of the Yawning Depths. 6/6 Kraken, Leviathans, Octopus, and serpents you control can't be blocked except by those same creature types. So,
the
changelings just get on through for free.
I like it. You got some regeneration.
Swarmyard. Yeah, Swarmyard, you can tap it, regenerate target insect, rat, spider, squirrel. A land's gonna regenerate one of your changelings.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Thassa Deep Dweller, just one of those end of turn blinking ones. Titan of Lijara, comes into play whatever creature type you choose. You get to draw that many creatures, or like that many cards for that many creatures, and then discard one of them. And on attack, that happens as well. It's great filler.
Yeah, I like that.
And then Urza's Workshop, tap for colorless or metalcraft. Yeah, this is the new one, but it's just a representation. They have Urza's Tower, Workshop, and mine in there.
Okay.
In the deck, but this taps, add a colorless for each Urza's land you control. All the everything lands are Urza's lands as well. So this will just keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Nice. No, I like it. This is this seems like an interesting deck. Again, people, if you're watching right now, please give this a like if you haven't given it a like. And if there's any cards that you think not Lowry missed, I like what you did here is you gave different ideas.
Right. This is not plug it in and play. It's like there's a lot that can happen. And so just trying to give you a little bit of avenues. I do think the creature selection within the deck is pretty poor.
So maybe it's something to look at when you're...
Yeah, when it comes to a deck. I think there are good creatures. But I think they're just going, we can do whatever in here, and then the changeling will bring everything together, even though there isn't any real synergies that are looking for changelings either. I think they probably worked more with the land, and that's why the name is Tricky Terrain,
Makes sense.
So
sweet. All right, let's move on to the next deck. Let's move there. All right, so the next deck is one that I worked on, and I worked on that with the Is It Worth It as well. So it's the Eldrazi Incursion deck. The biggest thing with this deck is the idea of this commander. Again, I need to jump over to the commander. I just jumped over here, but I'm going to get back to the deck here. The commander, what it does is we have either Wooburg or colors. For a 2/5 Eldrazi Devoid, whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay 2. If you do, copy all spells you control, then copy all other activated and triggered abilities you control. You may choose new targets for the copies. Okay, so there are some Eldrazi spells, and I think some of them are in the deck, and maybe some of them aren't, but what you're really wanting to do is make multiple copies of your creatures, but you can't cast your creature and pay the 2 and then cast another Eldrazi, and have it on the stack. You got to wait for this one to resolve because it's not an instant. So the focus that I did with this is make it so you can put your Eldrazi at instant speed. Yes, Eldrazi are very expensive, so that's another thing you kind of got to juggle, I think, a little bit. And that's also what I did in here is adding more multipliers with your land and everything. So the Urzas aren't in here, but I added them, just a little foreshadowing, because they're really cheap. But the thing is there's plenty. When you're dealing with 5 colors, there's a lot of cards. I wouldn't say like 50 or whatever, but there's like tens of cards that you can cast your creature. And that's the thing. This is also a very creature heavy deck. It's all new Eldrazi. You don't really have the old Eldrazi, a lot of the big hitters. So that's something you can add in here. I did not even put it in the Mr. Unlimited section because there's just too many Eldrazi. You can choose which ones you want to deal with at that point. What my main focus is here is to be able to get your double triggers. You want to copy all spells you control. So you want to cast an Eldrazi spell, cast another one. These are at instant speed. Pay the 2. You're copying this one. You're copying that one. And or casting 3 and copying all 3 of them. So I think it could get really crazy. So that I have 14 cards I added. This one came to 1975. So I'm 25 cents. You get a quarter here. So go spend it wisely. Again, 14
taxes
cards.
You just went over.
Yeah. So Alchemist's Refuge is one of our first ones of you may cast non-land cards this turn as though they had flash. There is another one that I will talk about in the Mr. Unlimited section, but this is the budget one, especially since they reprinted in the list and all that stuff, so it's a lot cheaper. And it's also colorless. You get that little colorless spell, or colorless mana there, so you can cast your Eldrazi easier. So this one is a fantastic ad. From Beyond, we're just adding more ramp because you're getting your Eldrazi Scion out there. But also, if you have a particular Eldrazi you want to get, you can sacrifice this to go search for an Eldrazi card and put it into your hand. So you can do this at instant speed, if it's getting destroyed, whatever, or right before your turn, set up for the win. I think it's just a great card. I don't know why it's not in the deck because it's really cheap. It's not expensive at all. So,
and it fit really well with the secondary commander there too.
Right. I was so wanting to just go, I'm building the second commander, so I'm changing all of this, but I'm like, well, people like this commander. Let's work with what we got here. So Horizon Stone is another way. Yes, this is a 5-drop, but the thing is you have Eldrazi are really expensive, especially if you start playing the OG ones. If you start plugging those in here, you're going to need lots of mana. And your commander, its trigger isn't free. You still have to pay 2. So you're on top of the Eldrazi, which aren't 1 and 2 drops. I mean, there's a couple that are 2 and 3 drops, but most of them are expensive. So you want to kind of build yourself up. So what Horizon Stone does is any unspent mana, it doesn't go away, it just turns into colorless, which works perfect with your Eldrazi. You save it up throughout the turns and then eventually use it on one big turn where everything just goes nuts. Because like you kind of mentioned earlier, Eldrazi tend to be cast triggers. There are some that do the ETB, but a lot of it is cast triggers. So you're going to want to multiply your commander's casting and copying your spells. It's not necessarily the ETB. Again, Leyline of Anticipation, we're just adding some more. You have every color, so you get to use all the good stuff for your casting your stuff at flash, so that's a great one to have in there. What started me down this road is actually the Liberator. The Liberator Urza's Battle Thopter. I was like, oh,
that's a good one.
That's actually a great way to do this. This is how we're going to multiply these. This makes your color spells and artifact spells, which are also colors, you can cast them as flash. This also has flash, and then whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent cast the spell is greater than that, it gets a 1/1 counter. Pretty much every time you cast a spell, this is going to get a 1/1 counter. Not that that's a huge deal because you're going to have Eldrazi and this isn't going to be the threat, but this helps you cast your Eldrazi at instant speed. This one is a spec target. I've liked this card, especially for tribal stuff, but in this case, it works very good. But Progenitor's Icon, did I say that right? Progenitor? Yeah. So it's a mono rock. It's a tribal one. It comes into play. You choose a creature type. At the very least, it taps for any color. But you can also tap it the next spell of the chosen type, Eldrazi, you cast this turn can be cast as though it had flash. So you're getting some more mana. You got a mana dork or mana rock, and it allows you to get more of your Eldrazi out. Again, instant speed. From the Doctor Who, this one is meh. I like it, but it's a 4-drop. And really all it's doing is make it so your creatures you can cast as though they have flash. So if you're just... I have a lot in this. I'm giving you a lot of good examples of stuff to use for your flash stuff. These are probably the better ones of the ones that I had there. The other thing is when one or more other creatures you control leave the battlefield, investigate. So now when your stuff dies, you get a little bit of a benefit. You get clue tokens on top of that. Sanctum of Ugin. It at least taps for colorless, but then whenever you cast a colorless spell with 7 or greater mana, if you do, you may sacrifice this, and then you can go search for an Eldrazi. Is Eldrazi? Or just colorless creature card. So go search for an Eldrazi, put it into your hand. Skittering Cicada, similar thing. Flash, you cast creature spell, colorless spells as though they have flash. Not just creatures, just colorless spells. So pretty much everything in your deck. Urza's Cave. You can sacrifice it to go search for any land, put it in the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle this. And then we got the Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Tower. And lastly, Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. You may cast creature spells, although they have flash. The other stuff doesn't matter. You're more focused on the casting at flash speed. So that's what I focused on here. I gave you guys...
This one's going to get a ticket for it exposing itself, though. Like, that's a lot of flashing going on.
Oh, wait.
I get it.
I'm glad that button is sitting right there. It's good there. So I wouldn't say if I were building this, I would probably take 4 to 5 of the flash cards and use those. I wouldn't use all of these necessarily, but Lowry just flashed us his Team Forest Walk stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of options here. Really what you're wanting to do is build up your mana base, build up your ramp, and then get one of these that you can cast at flash, and then just start going to town with the multiple triggers here. So, again, that was 14 cards, 1975. So you can buy all that for under $20. Now we get into where the money comes in.
Mr. Unlimited.
Again, I mentioned the OG Eldrazi. Of course, you can grab all of those.
For sure.
Plug those in if you have them. This is where it's going to be. You're going to put it in your Eldrazi deck. So this is where you do it. Other than that, I skipped on those.
Can you refresh your page?
Refresh?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
What do you mean?
Just asking you to refresh the page. I added a card for you.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
In Mr. Unlimited?
Unlimited. Yeah.
All right, hang on. What are you adding in there? You're adding like...
You'll see.
Yeah, but my Cradle of Growth. I hope you didn't add that in.
I could do that too. You probably need that. You'll see. We'll get there. I just wanted to make sure that we got there.
Okay. So Dark Steel Monolith. This is an expensive card at this point, but once each turn you may pay 0 rather than pay mana to color spells. You're just getting your Eldrazi out for free. It's stupid. It's really good. Eye of Ugin. This is expensive as well because of all this. Your Eldrazi spells cost 2 less. Kindred Discovery.
It's essentially giving you the mana to cast or to use that ability of
that's
two
a good
colorless.
point. Yep, that's a good point. Kindred Discovery, your creature type, your Eldrazi. Mana Crypt, you need to get that ramp a lot more in there. Oh, this is it. You added Mana Echoes?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, may add amount equal to the number of creature you control. Oh, okay. So your Eldrazi are going to feed into each other. I like it. Thank you. Thank you for the ad there, Lowry. Null Drifter, new card. This is going to be fantastic in this because you're going to do the Evoke. You're not going to cast the 7. You're going to do the Evoke.
All the time.
And you're going to get double triggers. So you're going to draw 4 cards off of this. Not to mention whatever else you're doing, like if you have others Eldrazi you're casting at the same time. This is a cheap Eldrazi. For 3, you draw 4. Of course, it doesn't stay in play, but this is just good. It's a good new card. This one I think is going to get up there. Don't you?
I love Mold Drifter,
Yeah.
so why wouldn't I love Null
Yeah.
Drifter?
Roaming Throne, yes, it goes
Yeah.
in when you have triggers. You got to do that. Smothering Tithe, yes, I'm talking about a staple. We are kind of skipping a lot of the staples. I'm not going to say like Teferi's Protection or Cyclonic Rift or any of that stuff. But this one fits in here because you need mana for this. This
Need
deck,
the mana.
this needs that for your Eldrazi to get out. Spreading Plague. This one's silly. But
I like that.
whenever a creature
In there.
comes into play, destroy all the creatures that share a color with it. They can't be regenerated. So yours are all, except for the ones that I added, all colorless. So
Yeah. Colorless
everybody-
is not a color.
so
is
yours won't be
less
destroyed.
colored.
Anytime anybody else is doing a creature, pretty much they're destroying part of the board. So this is
Yeah,
going to
that's
be
disgusting.
Great Henge. I guess this was one of the staples, but it's more
That makes
mana
sense.
ramp. But your Eldrazi are so high in power that this is only going to typically cost you 2. So that one's in there. Ugin's Binding. We talked about this one on the our episode this
Yeah.
week. This works in here. This is where this card should be.
It's meant to be
Yeah.
together.
You don't play Cyclonic Rift. You play this because you're going to be able to do your Eldrazi at instant speed. So it's like a Cyclonic Rift. There you go.
Oh, that's a good point.
Ugin's Labyrinth. This is a new card as well. These are really expensive, but you know what it does. Hey, look, it's Urza Saga, Lowry.
Probably shouldn't be there.
Urza's Incubator. You choose Eldrazi. They cost 2 less. Again, like you mentioned, that's covering that cost. Urza Saga, just you got to have it in there. Urza's Workshop. I feel
Hey.
like I say, yeah, I saw
I have
this
that
guy.
one.
Yeah. Winding Canyons does the same thing as the one from above. And I did put Zuladoc in there because you should put this in there. This should be in
Right.
this deck. I wish I bought this card when it was $8 because now it's $30, but
Ooh.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I feel like if you bought last year's Eldrazi deck and then you have this year's Eldrazi deck, make love, you'll have a pretty
You're
good
pretty good.
Eldrazi deck. Like it's gonna be there.
Yeah.
And then add some flashing, obviously.
That's why the flash-in's there. You gotta. That's how it all works.
Yes.
That's how babies are made. All right. So if there's anything,
Scions and spawns.
yeah, that's a good point. That's the babies. If there's
They're the
anything
babies.
that you think we should add besides the OG Eldrazi stuff, if there's other things that you think would work in this
Support cards.
yeah, support cards.
Like you could slap all the common and uncommon Eldrazi in this deck, and it's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah, this is gonna be. I think this one's gonna be fun. This is not the angle I'm gonna build, but this angle could be fun. Playing your stuff at instant speed.
You
is
should do
always
this
fun.
one.
No, I'm gonna do a different one.
I don't want you to do the other one.
The other one's gonna be fun. All right, so now we move on to our last one. And make sure to give that video a like really quick if you haven't done so already. All right, Lowry, what are we dealing with here? We are dealing.
All right,
with...
we're doing the energy deck. We could just skip this one. I don't like this one. All right,
come
we're doing
on,
the energy
you
deck.
got some
It's an
good-
energy.
You got
deck?
some good ads you want to add in there, right?
I don't know. The energy cards. I basically stole my own line from the Eldrazi thing. If you bought the Fallout energy deck and you're gonna buy this one, you could have them make love and you'll make a decent energy deck.
Yeah.
I was meaning it for this
For
one
this,
because
hey,
I did
it
both
works
of them.
because I'll split this video up and it'll sound like you're an awesome. The jokes
Just
are
tell
coming.
I do the same joke in every video.
Yeah, just find 2 decks to talk about. All right. So what do we?
Do you know what the best way to make decks is? Buy 2 precons that have the same concepts and just take the best cards and put them together.
Is that
That's
how?
how
Is that how we should be doing these videos now? Instead of
That's
actually breaking it
absolutely.
down, we just bring 2 decks in and be like, here's your upgrades. Buy this deck and buy
shuffle
this
it
deck.
and then take the bottom half and keep that one. Get rid of the top half. You got 2 energy decks
There
right
you
there.
go.
You got it. All right.
So what is this guy doing? What's the problem, or how are we fixing
What's
this?
the
deck?
problem? It's energy. That's the problem. But Satya, Aetherflux Genius, 1 in a blue and a red and a white. It's a 3/5 menace haste. Whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to 1 other target non-token creature you control. You get 2 energy at the beginning of your next end step. Sacrifice a token unless you pay an amount of energy equal to the mana value.
I know why you don't like this one. There's too many damn words.
Well, number one, I didn't even like reading all that. You think that's the first time I fully read it. I just learned it has menace.
You mean you didn't add that into your upgrades? You didn't want to use that as part of your upgrades because he has menace? Just kidding.
I didn't. No, but I said he has to be a little bit more evasive, so I got a little bit of extra stuff in there. But this is an energy deck. It also in the Precon, there's a lot of artifacts that are working with it because it's a Kaladesh character, Kaladesh mechanic. There's also a lot of artifacts from the Dr. Madison Lee deck. It's an artifact deck that has energy synergies, and also this felt very similar to who's the red one that brings creatures back from the graveyard as a token, and then you got to sacrifice it at Feldon of the Third Path.
Yes.
So kind of felt like this idea. You kind of you can sacrifice the creature, so and then the ETBs are free that are coming in. You have 3 colors to work with. So there's kind of a mashup of a lot of things. A lot of the energy creatures ETB with energy, so when you copy it, you're getting more energy, but you have to attack, so make sure that it can survive. Make sure that you got protection, plenty of it. Magnum protection.
I was wondering if we were going to do a condom joke.
Well, might as well. I made it for Eldrazi. They got huge condoms over there, too. Eldrazi condoms.
Oh, let's.
They don't want more scions and stuff. All right.
All right.
So
how many cards? How many cards we got, and how much? What do we
have 14 cards that we're adding in, and it was about $13.
Whoa, that's.
I could have done a 15. Well, the energy cards are cheap. They only work with energy cards for the most part. So it's kind of what it is. And there's plenty of cards in here that are new that weren't in the deck but are in the main set. They probably should have. I don't know.
Yeah,
thought about it more.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, first one we're going to talk about, Aether Revolt, 2 in a red, 2 red enchantment. As long as a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. And whenever you get 1 or more energy, it deals that much damage to any target.
So a little bit of spot removal-ish or direct damage-ish to it when you're getting
any target. Yeah, you can burn a player out because.
I was gonna say what I hate is when they name cards after sets that are already out, because searching for stuff or whenever you do that, it's stupid.
It shows up the whole set and then you get the one card.
Yeah, it's like, oh damn it, I want to find where that card is. Good thing this one isn't a good card.
It's a good card. For energy.
For energy,
so
it's
essentially,
fantastic.
whenever you create 1 or more energy, you're going to be dealing 3 damage.
Yeah.
As long as you can have something leave the battlefield, which is the revolt mechanic. So I think it's perfect in there. Going to be plenty of removal. Next one, super cheap common from Kaladesh, but Aether Theorist. It's a 1/3. When it ETBs, you get 3 energy, and then you can tap to pay an energy, and you just get to scry 1. Right. Nice cheap blocker that gives you a bunch of energy and a little bit of card selection after you don't have to block with it or whatever. It's an easy one to copy and get more energy. Yeah. You copy it, you get 5 energy. Not bad. Dr. Madison Lee deck, Behemoth of Vault 0, 6 mana, 6/6 trample. When it ETBs, you get 4 energy, and whenever it dies, you can pay an amount of energy to destroy any permanent. Probably a non-land permanent. Yeah, there we go.
Yep, non-land.
So it's removal. It's something very copyable. It's big, trample.
It gives you a bunch of energy when it comes in.
And when you're sacrificing the copy of it, you can pay energy to destroy something as well. That's something that likes the ETB and the death trigger. So those are cards that you kind of want to find. I don't have every one of them here for you, but good luck. Next one, Brago
Dirty
King
card.
Eternal. Well, when, like I said, there's a lot of you care about ETBs.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in blue and white, you put Brago in there and you blink all of your creatures that attacked. You get more energy. They're like vigilance. You get all the ETBs you want. It's a fantastic card.
Yep, that's probably your all-star out of this whole thing.
Yeah. Bronze Guardian, double strike, gets power equal to the amount of artifacts you have, and all other artifacts you have is Ward 2.
So is there a lot of artifacts in this deck then? I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a ton of artifacts. It's basically an artifact deck.
Okay. That makes sense. Then.
And it's really cheap. 60, 70 cents at this point. Next one, Brotherhood Scribe, another Fallout card, but taps to get an energy if you have 3 or more artifacts. And then whenever you get 1 or more energy during your turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. So on the attack, if this is, you tapped, all your creatures get +1/+1. You attack, you get 2 more, so +1/+1 for everything. And you're an energy deck. If that
You're gonna
creature
generate,
has an ETB energy, so it gets +3/+3 at least.
The only downfall is you're not
+3
like if you get 3 energy at once, you're still only getting 1/+1. But every separate instance of getting energy, it's going to get 1/+1. So that all these different
and for
things.
2 mana, that's
and you're
that's
filling
a lot going on.
your energy back up just by tapping it, which is pretty nice for. Yeah, that's an all-star there. Oh,
and then Dr. Madison Lee, Fallout. It's a great.
Makes sense.
I really like it as a commander, but it's a way to use some of your energy. Tap to use 1 energy, a creature gets +1/+0, haste and trample, or 3 energy, draw a card, or 5 energy. I had to close my eye. That's no reason. But return target artifact card from the yard to the battlefield under your control, and it's an artifact deck. Things are going to get removed. Bring them back.
Recursion. There you go.
Yep. Next one, Experimental Augury. Just wanting to point out that whenever you proliferate, you get to add another energy. And this is just card advantage. I really like Experimental Augury.
So that could be an angle if you wanted to change the deck. You could add a lot of proliferation in the deck just to help with your energy instead of like
1/1 counters or a lot more Tezzerets would be nice as well. Like if you're going more proliferate and Planeswalkers. Next
new cards.
Yeah. There's only a couple of good cards before this set. They just like tripled the amount of good cards. So, is it Generatorium? Did I get that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. Artifacts. If you get 1 or more energy, you get that many +1, and then you can tap it to draw a card if you have used 4 or more energy this turn. So adding more energy, potentially drawing cards, not bad for red and the blue. Next one, Static Prison, and these are all really cheap. 1 white, exile target non-land permanent as an enchantment, and then you get 2 energy, and at the beginning, you pay an energy or sacrifice it, and that thing comes back. But 1 mana in an energy deck, this is auto include probably.
For sure. And it's a little bit, it's removal built on it. Ooh.
Yeah. Steal the Godhead. This is what I was saying. Like you want to make sure that your commander, whenever it's attacking, can survive. So Steal of the Godhead. This is an aura. If your creature is white, it gets lifelink and +1/+1. And if it's blue, it's unblockable and +1/+1. So what's its power toughness? 3/5?
Yes.
So it's
4/6.
a 5/7 unblockable life.
Oh yeah, 5
haste. So it's gonna do some work with that card. Strionic Resonator. You can copy the attack trigger with it. So might as well. 2 in the Narrative is a new one. It's just really simple cantrip. 1 blue, instant, draw a card, get 2 energy. Those are glue cards that basically are great. Next one, Wheel of Potential. This might be the last one, but 2 in a red, sorcery. You get 3 energy, and then you can pay X energy. Each player may exile their hand and draw X cards. If X is 7 or more, you may play cards you own exiled this way until end of your next turn.
I didn't even know this wheel was in this set. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. So if you have like an abundance, you can have everybody draw 7 cards, or if you're just like, I just need to be able to, you're exiling those cards, potentially playing them. But if not, you're just getting a bunch more cards.
Oh,
and everybody.
Live Another Anime said that the Is It one is already in the deck.
I missed that.
That's all right.
Take it out.
You saved you 35 cents. Thank you.
It is now $12.75.
This is the cheapest upgrades ever, I think, at this point.
Right.
I think you've set a record.
I kind of want to reread the wheel. Each player may exile their hands. So if they don't want to exile their hand, they're not going to draw more cards.
Right.
But that's not a bad deal.
But then you get the benefit of being able to play those cards until end of your turn.
And they'll know how many cards they get to draw or not. So you can't be like, I pay 3, no energy. Everybody exiles their hand and draws no cards.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking brutal. Yeah.
All right.
Just
so
do
now
it yourself. Not bad.
Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited. So we have no limit here. We have 16 cards. Ooh.
Yeah, just some. This Aether Spike is a new counter spell for energy. Probably gonna put that in there if you got it. It's cheap. Next one, Anointed Procession. You're making tokens, double them or triple them, whatever, but they're expensive. But smoke them if you got them. Artifact class. Like I said, it's an artifact deck. The first artifact spell is reduced by 1, and then you can pay 2, and then reveal cards until you find the next artifact. This is cheap. It's kind of like a card advantage mana ramp card, and it goes really well in artifact heavy decks. Bloodthirster is a beast. So flying trample 6/6. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, untap it. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase.
Oh.
It can't attack a player, has already attacked this turn.
So potentially
but if you keep on making copies of it, you're going to keep on getting combat steps.
Yeah.
So this is an infinite kind of thing.
And
so like you basically like go around the circle, everybody's attacked, you've already made 2 more, and they just keep on attacking. I'm not gonna do this, but you could. If you
want to be a monster, you can.
Option. But any extra combat steps, it's gonna go great with this.
Yeah, because then
just
it
make
the
more
benefit
creatures.
from that. Yep. You got Mr.
Real
Dockside
cheap
in there,
consulate
too.
turret. Yeah, well that works with the copying. Dockside Extortionist, you copy it, you get more treasures, right? That's a lot of ramp. Consulate turret taps to create an energy, or you can pay 3 energy and deals 2 damage to target player. So a little bit of just on energy removal. As for Sentinel, only there because it's an artifact as well. There's artifact synergies going on. Same thing with Fomori Fault. This is, you get to basically look at a bunch of cards and then put. All right, okay. Hold on.
You discard a card and then you look at the top X cards, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Put one of them into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library.
This goes into any artifact deck.
Yep.
You just do it.
Yep.
All right.
Just do it.
10-15 bucks. New one, Guide of Souls. But whenever a creature ETBs under your control, you get a life and an energy. Whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy. And if you do, put 2 1/1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types.
And then
you're going to be able to do that.
Mondrak is similar to our.
Yeah, doubling the counters. Reconnaissance allows you to attack without worrying about blockage, because you can just remove it from combat.
Save your commander with that. Yep.
Yeah. Robo Brain Ward Mind, another Fallout energy card. Doesn't matter. Same thing with Sentry Bot. This the next one, just energy artifact. One I do like that I'm surprised they didn't put in there, but Shielded Aether Thief, 04 flash. Whenever it blocks, you get an energy, and then you can tap it, pay 3 energy to draw a card. Just a nice way to use energy, card advantage, being able to block. That's nice.
Oh, and the last 2?
Wrath of the Skies, just a new energy kind of destruction thing. It's X and 2 white. So you get X energy, and then you can pay as much energy as you want and destroy creatures, artifacts, enchantments with mana value X or
equal to the amount,
less
or
less than or equal to the amount of energy paid that way. So just a nice little removal wrath that you can so choose. The Wormcoil Engine. It's a great card to copy, sacrifice, get the tokens afterwards. They get to hang around. That was the thought with like the Feldon of the Third Path. Like when Feldon's doing this thing, it's dirty. Like Also works with the token strategies that you kind of probably got going on. But yeah, that's it.
You sound super excited with energy.
Well, like I said, I will likely fold this deck into my Dr. Madison Lee deck.
Oh, that's good.
And so that, but again, you know, you're buying these cards in this deck in the Precon, and it feels like it just can't go anywhere else.
Right, because it's energy. You have to,
Right.
you go
Right.
energy.
So that I think
Whereas
they
the
did a
last deck
decent
you
job
had-
of at least making some of the energy cards like potentially just on their own in a deck. Like Wrath of the Skies can go in and you pay 5 and destroy everything 3 or less.
I'm surprised you didn't put the Drake on here because that's an energy one.
It was. I ended up cutting it just because.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff from the MH3 stuff with energy stuff that you could put in.
But
potentially.
90% of the playable energy cards have been printed in the last 3 months.
Let's see. We got a comment there. Blah, blah, blah. What does it say? It doesn't have to be.
What are we looking forward to the most? We have not talked about that. I think we talked about more of that in the is it worth it?
Yeah.
So, But
yeah.
I mean, this is kind of the end of this one. We could quick. I think the energy one is the least favorable.
Right. Well, when
Right.
we did our polls, the well, let's see. Let's jump over there. I don't want to jump over and then it's on our live feed. Let me check here. We'll see here in a second. No, it's gonna jump into. I'm not even gonna attempt it. I don't even want to do it. So I'm just gonna get out of there. I could have jumped over there, but I don't want it. But yeah, the.
Do we want to talk about it real quick? I think for me personally, I just like, I think a lot of the utility. I think if you're going to build the Goyf one, I'm going to be jealous. That's probably the most interesting and seems the most fun.
That's the funny thing is when we do this, like I mentioned, I just go, well, now I want to build this. I have already figured out the upgrades I want. So now I just want to add the upgrades, change the land out, put the land that I want, and do the idea that I have. So I might, but
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't need to. I know I'm building an Eldrazi, not this Eldrazi. I'm doing the 3-drop Eldrazi. It's still a 5-color. I'm going to do that deck, but it's going to be, I mentioned in the upgrades, not upgrades, the is it worth it? I'm going to do that deck more of the Scions and doing the douchebag part of the Annihilator and everything. So
Oh, but I'm sure you'll be douchebaggy enough though.
I
sure.
said I'm gonna be douchebag.
Yeah.
With Annihilator.
It'll be
Yeah,
a douche that should have been in the garbage a week ago, but it's just rotting on the I don't know, toilet seat. I don't know. This is good.
Now you're getting
This is weird.
graphic.
I don't even know how douches work. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not how douches work. It's not like a. It's not like a thing.
Look, I have 75% of the guys here just going, "Oh, that's gross." Yeah, they don't know how it works either.
So yeah, I think I'm most excited for the Eldrazi deck only because I'm going to change it. Second is the graveyard one. When we did the is it worth it? The tricky terrain seemed like had the most cool cards in it, I guess. But then after kind of doing your stuff there, I built a lot of the blue-green stuff, with decks. So it became not as high on my list. It is third, obviously, and then energy is just there's no energy.
Right. And this energy deck is going to get folded into my Dr. Madison Lee energy deck.
Yeah,
And
so
and we'll see how much crossover there is, because that's more of an artifact deck rather than an energy deck. So there'll be some cards that go in there.
I do.
They basically reprinted all the best energy cards in this, like the most expensive ones.
That's good. So it's in there.
Yeah,
I will
that's
say
good. They had to.
With tricky terrain, I do like the angle that you said that you can go outside the box. Don't just go with elves and merfolk. I like that you gave that option of this one can be done different ways. It isn't straight like the energy deck is pretty much this is what you're doing. This is pretty much what you're doing. You probably have 10, 15 cards that are a little different than everybody else's. But to make a good energy deck, this is kind of you're doing Dr. Madison Lee, so you're actually changing it into that. Tricky terrain just has that variance to it, the other two, I think they're pretty straightforward-ish, but I'm changing my Eldrazi, so it is a bit different. So We bring in the $20 upgrade Precons. I don't know if we'll have them upgraded by then because we are a week and
I think
change
mine. Oh, yeah, it takes time. We got some videos to do before then.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. So,
but
we should probably wrap this up because this is like the length of a podcast. So make sure, Lowry, why don't you sign us off with our normal like and all that fun stuff?
Hey, if you enjoyed me guessing what a douchebag actually does, please share, like, subscribe to the Commander Smiths. We do weekly podcasts, a bunch of shorts, videos like this with Is It Worth It for the Precons. We do set, top 10s or what commanders are we excited to look at, build, whatever. That's kind of what we do. We talk a lot about secret layers as well. So if you want to check out any of this stuff, again, subscribe. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully you had fun.
Speaking of Secret Lair, really quick plug for people that are watching right now. I will be doing an opening of the latest Secret Lair. It's a lot of them right after this. It's supposed to start in 10 minutes. So if you guys are still awake, great. If not, just watch it later. So that should do it. All right, gang. That should do it for here. We will check you guys later.
All right. Bye. Why not? I fucked that up.
Saga.
Hey, Meat Force, could you kindly tap the like and subscribe button? And if you're ever in the mood, head on over to commandersmiths.com and you can get the shirts and mugs you see on the screen and some other stuff. Thank you.